And now it's Renovate and Build. 60 minutes dedicated to building and renovating solutions. Here's your hosts, Jim and Sandra.
Good Saturday morning to you. If you're thinking of renovating your current home, building a new one, or just love learning about home improvement, then this is the show for you. My name is Sandra Lummis, and I'm joined by the founder and president of Fair Trade Works, Jim Perkins. And today, Jim, it's about the future. There's the planning, there's careers in construction, and even the latest in technologies that make our homes and our lives easier. It's going to be a good show.
It sounds like a fantastic show. Good morning, Sandra, and good morning to everybody. It really is an exciting time in the industry, and I really do see a big shift, with the out with the old and in with the new kind of thing. And not only because there's so much development happening across the country, but because, we're just in this new phase of rejuvenation of the industry. Fair Trade Works is certainly happy to be a part of that. And I'm anticipating some huge changes in the next decade with a quarter of our skilled baby boomers retiring.
The construction industry is kind of, I always say, a quiet sleeper in the economy. While we see construction everywhere, we actually forget how many people it takes to make up the industry. And Jim, did you know that 1 in every 17 Canadians earns a living in the construction industry?
It's unbelievable. I always say construction make the world go around, and with those kind of stats, you can see why. It's just
forget love. You're saying construction does it all.
No, there's no room for love. It's just construction. Yeah. But today we're going to be speaking with BCIT about their trades program and what they are doing to accommodate this more than 32,000 jobs that are going to be open in the construction industry up to the year of 2022. Yeah, 32,000 jobs that are desperately needed, and all the spin-offs and that. That's just the actual guys on the tools, on the ground. But then the office administration, you name it, and it starts to double and triple. And 2021 is not that far away. So.
First, let's get to our listener questions, Jim. Mina contacted me last week after the show, and she said she'd like to get us to get involved in community work, and I know philanthropy is a big part of your business model. She says she knows some families that are really struggling and would like to know if our team of professionals can help out with some home renovations before the holiday season for the needy. I told Mina that she must be reading our minds because we're actually really happy that she asked us this. And in the sense of fairness, we always like to tell everybody at the same time, we wanted to ensure that we did this to appeal to all of Greater Vancouver for submissions from friends and family for the season, because we wanted to launch a new program for your philanthropy wing, inviting people to submit and talk about how we can help them.
Absolutely. Well, yes, Mina. I guess you've kind of forced us now to reveal our big secret prior to its kind of initial launch. When I started Fair Trade Works, I knew that philanthropy was going to be a very big part of this machine right from the get-go. And as we grow and get bigger and better, then it's we're always focused on kind of giving back. And when we birthed Fair Trade Works, we immediately created our Fair to Give policy, which we'll put on our Facebook page today so people can kind of have a read into it and what it's all about. And it talks about who we will and also who we won't support. Children, animals, and the environment are our 3 main mandates. So if there's any families out there who need our help and can use our manpower and skill, and we got lots of it at Fair Trade Works, and on top of that hard work to help, let's do it. And here's how our Holiday Helpers campaign is going to work. We're asking listeners within the Greater Vancouver area to email us why they think we should help out a family in need. We need an idea of the scope of the project, as well as an explanation why that they feel as if this family needs to be helped. From there, we'll be taking all of them, and we're assuming there's going to be thousands of them of these submissions, and then putting in front of our advisory board to choose which family or families we feel needs the most help. To get your submissions in, email us at contactus@fairtradeworks.biz. That's contactus@fairtradeworks.biz with a subject line Holiday Helpers.
Well, I feel spirited now after that announcement. A great holiday campaign to get started at Fair Trade Works. And thank you, Mina, for your email. Okay, on with the show today. You're listening to Renovate and Build, and for the next hour, we have some great information coming your way about the construction industry and the industry's future.
And dishwashers are so important in our busy lives, but if you have one of those dishwashers that are loud, doesn't always clean everything thoroughly, and you have to kind of pre-wash the dishes before you put them in and takes a ton of energy, is to find out how far they have come. Meg and Gary will be focusing on these must-haves later this hour on Product Face-Off. Okay, so a recent Vancouver Sun affordability mapping revealed that a family with an income of $80,000 before taxes can no longer live in 3/4 of Metro Vancouver neighborhoods. How do we feel about this mapping? What does it really mean to the future of Vancouver? We're going to find out the straight goods from the Executive Director of Urban Futures, Andrew Ramlow, later this hour.
But first, let's travel all the way to Anmore to speak with our neighborhood news reporter, Bruce Hitchin. He's also the president of Direct Impact Media. Good morning, Mr. President.
Hello, Jim. Hello, Sandra. How are you doing?
Very well, Bruce. Very well. My first question is, I was going to ask you, what's been busy at Direct Impact Media, and you came rushing in here just before the show, letting us know about your extremely busy event you had a little time ago. So it's,
well, it's a busy time of year for us, but this is really the time of year when all of the events and the different organizations start to want to put together things, put together video programs. We had worked earlier this week on an event that was done that featured the Dalai Lama, and it was an event hosted by an organization called Lift the Children. And the Dalai Lama was presenting the humanitarian awards to 3 Vancouver philanthropists, John Volkin, Javad Mofagi, and Frank Justra. So these people have just given tremendous amounts of money and put a lot of their own resources into really making the world a better place. So we had worked on, along with some other people, on video profiles of each of these people, just sort of talking about what they've done and the difference they've made in the world. So it was quite an event to be part of.
Yeah.
And to be in the presence of the Dalai Lama was good. I can check that
Check
one
that
off
off,
my
yeah.
list.
That's on my bucket list. I'm
you
so
mentioned that,
jealous.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know we're talking about the neighborhood news, but I'm just curious, like, did you actually follow them around for more than one day? Was it shot in a day, or did you spend some time with them all? Or
No, it was done over a number of days. So each of the people we interviewed, as well as a number of people who also know them. So a lot of people speaking on behalf of them and talking about the good work that they've done. But each of the videos probably required about 2 days of actual video shooting, and then another 10 days of editing. So, it was a big project. And in fact, the big part of doing a project like that is you end up with so much content, and you could, sifting through it is a big deal. So, you could easily talk about each of these people for
hours.
Right. And then we're doing a video that's 5 minutes in length. So
that's the challenge.
That is the challenge. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay,
Exciting.
so this is exciting. So back to neighborhood news, Bruce. What's kind of happening in the construction development in Anmore right now? Is there anything kind of interesting?
Well, last time we talked about a couple of projects, and no super big news since then, but we can touch on each of them. Pinnacle Ridge was one of the developments that we talked on, which is one of the steep slope developments in Anmore. You mentioned that on our last time that we spoke that you had driven up there.
We took a look up there.
I drove up there the other day, and just a few days ago, and noticed that the number of those lots are sold. I went online just to sort of check and see what they're worth. So, you're kind of looking anywhere between $700,000 and $1 million for a lot.
Yeah.
And they're $1 million views too.
They are $1 million views. There's no question about it. But a lot of those lots have sold signs on them, and they're building a couple of houses up there now. So it's quite beautiful. But again, this is the challenge of that steep slope. I spoke to a friend of mine. I thought I better prepare for today's discussion, and then went to discuss with a friend of mine, Paul Weverink, who's running for village council in Anmore, and just sort of talked about some of the issues. And we really talked about this whole steep slope development issue and how much infrastructure that is built for those developments but then is turned over to the village to look after going forward. And that's part of the problem in Anmore. There was a study done about the financial viability of the village, and the infrastructure, the cost of maintaining the infrastructure is quickly sort of becoming greater than what the tax base can support. So,
because if people don't know Anmore so well, it's all zoned, correct me if I'm wrong, for 1 acre lots, which means big lots, properties that are sprawling, so that infrastructure has to reach all of those properties. So, the square, the lineal kilometer of infrastructure per tax base or home, it spreads pretty thin, right? So
that's true. And when you start to look at these steep slope developments, there's more infrastructure involved. There's pump stations in order to get water up. There's retaining walls. There's those sorts of things. So the infrastructure on a steep slope is more than you would find on flat land development.
Because you were saying the flat land kind of in the base there is all kind of being developed.
Yeah, a lot of it has been developed,
Yeah.
you know, and so, you know, the last few years we've seen the development take place on the steeper
slopes. Yeah.
And there's an advantage to doing that. You know, you do get these beautiful views. Some challenges perhaps with roads and getting up there in the winter, but you know the views are really wonderful.
Yeah.
But I think you know, that is one of the issues going forward in the village of Anmore, is how to make it more sustainable from a
business model. Yeah.
Exactly, and you know, I think that there's going to have to, a hard look is going to have to be taken to look for higher density going forward. But no one, you know, we talked about that earlier. It's a controversial issue. It always has been. People really like that RS1, that 1 acre development, that model for Anmore. It's part of the official community plan, and you know, finding a way to make that sustainable over the long haul is a different story.
Interesting.
Anything else happening in Anmore?
We talked a little bit about the IOCO lands. I don't think anything is changing there, but as you remember last time we talked about these IOCO lands, it was Imperial Oil owned the lands. A lot of it is in in Anmore, and a big part of it is in Port Moody. It covers an area of about, well, I think I have 232. It's a 232 acre site. 150 acres of that happens to be in Anmore. So they're marketing that land and looking for a developer to take it on now. And maybe as far as I know, no one has purchased that land and no one's taken on that project yet. But perhaps that's part of the, you know, if Anmore is RS1 zoning, that might be, you know, something that developers are really going to think about. If they want to change that, it could take some time to change that. And what I understand is that in that 150 acres in Anmore, there's 4 streams that go through there, and there's a 100-foot setback. And then when you start to think, well, okay, an acre lot, you know, that cuts down how much of that land that you can really develop and make money off of. So I think that if there was a proposal, or at least some sort of acknowledgement by the village that they were going to look at some higher densities, then maybe that project might move forward. But I don't know what the future of that will be until something happens.
Could be a long haul.
It could be. It could be a long haul. It could be a really beautiful spot. Like I say, a part of it is in Port Moody. A lot of it's on the water. Could be a fantastic development. It's a large parcel of land. One of the nicest big parcels of land left in Metro Vancouver.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an exciting few years of trying to figure out where you're going in the future in Anmore.
I think once I'm really excited to see what happens with that, because I think it could really, you know, improve that area. We could bring some business out that way. It could bring some stores and things. You know, we're close to stores. Anmore is a beautiful spot. Yeah. It's nice because it's isolated, but you know, so the closest grocery store is 10 or 15 minutes away, and that kind of thing. It would be nicer to see a little bit, you know, a little store and
what brings that is density, though, right? Like they're all catalysts to each other, right? It comes as a package, you know.
Yeah.
A little bit more density brings bigger population, brings business, and people, you know, moving there. And you know, of course, Anmore is a drive away from Vancouver, certainly, right? And nobody wants to deal with the traffic. So I think it's a good thing if it's controlled, and just controlled enough so it brings business, brings enterprise, becomes self-sufficient, and then people can say, well, I can't live that. Now the drive isn't so important, right? So I think there's a big picture in that. So we don't have to drive now. We can work from home. We can live in Anmore. We have a great grocery store. We have a school. We have amenities. All these things, which then creates another environment, right? So it's just.
I'll be answering all the emails from Anmore right now for people against that density.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Bruce. Please stay in touch with us, because it's going to, as you said, be an exciting time in Anmore for this next few years.
It will be,
at
and
least.
there's lots of exciting things happening in Anmore, and you know, the beautiful homes being built. Really unique area.
It is.
So it is a place that, you know, it's very desirable. A lot of people want to live there, and I'm one of the lucky ones that got in, you know, a number of years ago. I've lived there for over 15 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens in the future.
It's interesting. So thanks again, Bruce. We know we're kind of cutting into your family time here on a Saturday morning, so we won't hold you up any longer talking construction. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with Bruce Hitchin, President of Direct Impact Media and our Anmore Neighborhood News reporter. If you'd like to contribute to our weekly feature that focuses on construction and development in various communities around the province, please email us at radio@fairtradeworks.biz. If you're tired of waiting for your dishwasher to dry or sick of having to pre-wash dishes to ensure they're clean, there are new solutions. And Meg and Gary are going to be telling us all about them on Product Face-Off. That's later this hour.
And just ahead, we'll be speaking with BCIT about their trades program and the dire need for new construction professionals. And that's not only just in BC, that's across Canada. If you're looking for a great career, stay with us. You won't want to miss this.
There's still lots more ahead. This is Renovate and Build, powered by Fair Trade Works with Jim and Sandra.